I still remember the way my heart stopped. She was standing in the kitchen, one hand resting on her stomach, her eyes wide like she'd just seen a ghost. I stared at her belly, then at her face, and the words slipped out before I could stop them. The baby, it's mine, right? That night, She blinked at me for a second that felt like a lifetime. Then she said, almost embarrassed, no. I just ate too much. But what happened after that moment changed the way I see people forever. Before we get into the story, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Here on your channel name, we share real, heartfelt stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be. Now let me tell you what really happened that night. I'm a 32-year-old high school history teacher living in a small town in Ohio. The kind of town where everybody knows your car before they know your name. Life is simple here. Friday night football, church on Sundays, and neighbors who wave even if they don't like you. I've always tried to be a decent guy. Not perfect. Just decent. I hold doors open. I return shopping carts. I check in on my mom every Sunday night. But I never thought of myself as someone who could change a life. Until Emily. Emily moved in next door about 6 months ago. She was quiet, kept to herself, and drove an old blue Honda with a dent in the passenger door. I'd see her leaving early in the morning and coming back late at night. Sometimes she looked exhausted. Sometimes she looked like she'd been crying. We officially met when her trash can rolled down the street during a storm. I grabbed it before it hit a parked car and knocked on her door. When she opened it, she looked surprised, like she wasn't used to someone helping her. Your trash can try to escape, I joked. She smiled softly. It was the first time I'd seen her smile. Thank you. It does that sometimes. From there, we started talking. Just small things at first. The weather. The noise from the construction down the block. Then it turned into longer conversations. Coffee on the porch. Sharing leftovers. Laughing about how neither of us could keep a houseplant alive. One night, after a long day at work, she knocked on my door. She looked pale and shaky. Can I sit down for a minute? She asked. I let her in without hesitation. She sat at my kitchen table, holding her stomach. That's when I noticed it. It looked slightly rounded. Not huge, but enough to make me wonder. My brain jumped to conclusions. We had gotten close over the months. One night, after too much wine and too much honesty, we crossed a line. We both agreed it was a mistake. We said we'd stay friends. So when I saw her standing there like that, my heart raced. I blurted out, the baby, it's mine, right? That night, Her eyes widened, then she actually laughed. A nervous, awkward laugh. No, she said quickly. Oh my gosh, no. I just ate too much. I grabbed fast food on the way home and I feel awful. I felt my face burn. I wanted the floor to swallow me. I'm so sorry, I said. I panicked. She waved it off, but then her smile faded. She looked down at her hands. It's not that, she said quietly. I pulled out a chair and sat across from her. Then what is it? For a moment, I thought she wouldn't answer. But then she took a deep breath. I haven't been eating regularly, she admitted. Trying to save money. Rent went up. My student loan payments restarted. I thought I could manage, but some days I just skip meals. My chest tightened. You skip meals? I repeated. She nodded, embarrassed. It's not a big deal. Lots of people are struggling. That hit me hard. She said it like hunger was normal. Like going to bed with your stomach growling was just part of adulthood. I thought about my fridge. full of leftovers. My pantry, packed with food I sometimes forgot about until it expired. And here she was, next door, counting every dollar. "Why didn't you say something?" I asked. She shrugged. "I don't want to be anyone's charity case." I leaned back in my chair. I didn't want to make her feel small. I didn't want pity to be part of this. But I couldn't ignore it either. "You're not a charity case," I said gently. "You're my neighbor. My friend." The next day, I did something simple. I went grocery shopping like usual. But I bought extra. Nothing fancy. Pasta. Rice. Canned soup. Eggs. Bread. Fresh fruit. Things that last. That evening, I knocked on her door holding 2 grocery bags. "I cooked too much again," I lied with a grin. "Help me out?" She looked at the bags, then at me. Her eyes got watery, but she blinked the tears away. "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "I know," I replied. "I want to." She hesitated, then stepped aside to let me in. That became our rhythm. I'd accidentally cook too much. She'd reluctantly take half. Sometimes we'd eat together at my table. Sometimes we'd sit on her porch with paper plates and talk about life. Slowly, she opened up. She had moved to town after leaving a toxic relationship. She had no family nearby. She was working 2 jobs to stay afloat. The exhaustion I'd seen wasn't just from work. It was from carrying everything alone. One night, as we were washing dishes, she said something that stuck with me. "You know what's weird?" she said. "It's not the money that hurts the most. It's feeling invisible. Like nobody would notice if I disappeared." I turned off the faucet and looked at her. "I would notice," I said firmly. She held my gaze for a second. "I know," she replied. "Now I do." That's when I realized something. Kindness isn't always dramatic. It's not always grand gestures or viral videos. Sometimes it's groceries. Sometimes it's sitting at a table and listening. Sometimes it's making sure someone knows they matter. Over the next few months, things started to change for her. She found a better job at a local marketing firm. The pay was steadier. The hours were reasonable. She started smiling more. She even bought a small plant for her living room, and somehow kept it alive. One Saturday morning, she knocked on my door holding a pie. "Peace offering," she said proudly. I didn't burn it. We sat on my porch eating pie and laughing about that awkward night in my kitchen. "I can't believe you thought I was pregnant," she teased. I panicked. I defended myself. "You looked serious." She shook her head, smiling. Then her expression softened. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For seeing me. For not making me feel ashamed. For helping without making it weird." I shrugged, suddenly shy. That's what neighbors do. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. It was a choice. A small, daily choice to care. A year later, Emily moved into a better apartment across town. On her last night in the neighborhood, she handed me an envelope. "Open it after I leave," she insisted. Inside was a handwritten letter. She wrote about the night she almost broke down completely. The night she came to my house feeling dizzy and scared. She admitted she hadn't just eaten too much that night. She'd barely eaten all week. She said my ridiculous question about the baby made her laugh for the first time in days. And my groceries? They gave her more than food. They gave her breathing room. Hope. Dignity. At the bottom, she wrote, "You reminded me that kindness still exists. Now I want to be that for someone else." I sat there on my couch, holding that letter, realizing something powerful. I never paid her rent. I never wrote her a check. I just showed up. I shared what I had. And somehow, that was enough to change the direction of her life. We still talk. She's thriving now. She volunteers at a local food pantry on weekends. She says it's her way of paying forward the pasta. Every time I see her, we laugh about that first moment. The baby, it's mine, right? And she'll roll her eyes and say, no. I just ate too much. But we both know it was more than that. So here's what I've learned. You never really know what someone is carrying. The person smiling at you in line at the grocery store might be skipping meals. The coworker who seems distant might feel completely alone. The neighbor behind the closed door might be one bad week away from breaking. Kindness doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be real. Cook extra. Check in. Knock on the door. Ask how someone's really doing, and mean it. Because sometimes, the difference between someone giving up and someone holding on, is a bag of groceries and a reminder that they matter. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, the smallest act of kindness can echo farther than you'll ever know. Let's be that echo.